Hello everyone and good morning. This is Sarthak and today, as part of my data visualization project, I would be presenting a case study to the Government of Canada and the Minister about the recent trend in COVID-19 cases as well as the effective measures taken and what further could be done to improvise the situation overall. To start with, COVID-19, as officially recognized in scientific terms, is SARS-CoV-2, which is an aerial respiratory disease identified in 2019 in China. Of course, we are all aware that the coronavirus is spread from person to person and is only diagnosed through a laboratory test. Although the government has been very strict in providing the vaccines, the total COVID-19 cases in Canada so far has reached 3 million, while deaths has near 38,000. Although the topic has been into subject for like 2 years, but despite that, the average number of new cases arriving in Canada is roughly equal to 6714, and that's too on a daily basis. Today, I'll be speaking against the motion that the current measures taken by the government are not effective and significant changes required to improve population health and ease the burden on both the population as well as economy. Some arguments that support my motion are the rising inflation, which has been twofold than the ones experienced before in Canadian history. If I predominantly talk about the housing inflation and the price parity, and to bottom up with that, there has been increase in the unemployment rates as well as downfall in multiple sectors of the economy. Of course, as we last noticed, there was still daily huge number of daily death rates as well as the new number of reported cases that are even noticed at post-Omicron times. Moving on further to my next slide, how I arrived at the motion was I defined the question measuring how effective are the government measures when looking at the statistical trends and what picture do they portray. I started collecting the data from various government websites. I cleansed the data so that I do not have any duplicate values which would create biasness in my data, as well as it does not have any null values. Secondly, I restrained my data to 2019 and 2020 and 2021 analysis because 2022 analysis are particularly biased towards exceptional Omicron cases and the data was not predominant enough. I started analyzing the data using the Python as well as my Excel skills and visualize the data using the Power BI. Moving on further, I looked at the bigger picture by analyzing the control cycle. Here we have a problem that is defined about how to reduce the impact of COVID, a solution that is recommended by government, and monitor of the outcome. Here, when I'm monitoring the outcome, I see that though government measures have been effective, there has been external factors which includes population, lack of population awareness, new immigrants coming into the country, as well as Russian-Ukraine war that has led to, and of course, Omicron cases that has led to different actual outcome than the one expected. Seeing the graph on the left, it's noticeable that once government removed its restriction and first phase of unlocking began, we see cases started to increase from July till December. And as you can see in the graph, during the months of January till July 2021, the case had been increasing sharply and then it took a dip, which was post the second phase of COVID. From the graph in the right, it can also be observed that a similar trend was observed even in 2020, where cases were increasing from the month of January to June, and so were the mortality rates or the death rates, and then it started decreasing from July onwards. Looking at the various trends, I have further observed how the various sectors have taken a dip before and after the COVID times. Here, the topmost graph here, the blue line, shows the growth of the industries after the pandemic hit, and orange line shows the growth of the industries below the pandemic hit. We are all aware that how housing inflation and the construction costs have increased drastically along with the very high unemployment rate. It, as could be observed here, the 18% and 5%, that 13% difference observed in the distribution and service has been during the COVID hit, and the same has been observed in the manufacturing sector. Financial sector has taken a lower hit, but it has resulted in the disbalance in the economy with very high unemployment rates as well as the inflation. The graph over here suggests us the estimated range of the annualized growth rate that we were expecting back in 2020 and 2021, while the median has been on the very lower end, which means it had a higher potential, but the growth rate seemed was very low. Not to mention, apart from decrease in per capita income and the decrease in spending capacity of individuals, growth has declined in almost every sector, and the worst hit were the small business holders. A quick survey shows that the 81% of small business owners have been negatively impacted, out of which 54% say their sales have dropped tremendously, and 32% worry if their business would exist or would prolong to exist in the coming year. 85% of our population say that they are uncertain of how long the measures will last is the hardest to deal with. Of course, the restrictions, the lockdowns, they do disbalance the economy. But the question that arises here is it important than health? Could anything be done here to be of the advantage to the small business holders as well as reducing the impact of COVID, which would be discussed further in the next slide. As we can see here, since the very small business owners now have a decrease in their sales, which calls for less employment, and hence the unemployment has increased to 30,000 levels at June 2021. Here, unemployment is also reflected among the new students or the new migrants immigrating to Canada, where they have been solely relying on the menial jobs for their survivorship. After the state, due to travel restrictions, the sanitary conditions, and the workplace conditions, more and more people have been finding it difficult to work, to travel, and to relocate due to the COVID-19, which has further given rise to the unemployment rates. Considering all the slides, I would conclude that the current measures are not very effective and more actions are definitely required to improve the public health and stabilize the economy. Since from our data, we already see that talking about the economy, it has hit hard by the inflation and decrease in per capita income. Of course, with the unemployment rates, a case to death ratio has been severely increasing, which is not a good sign about the public health, and as well as small business holders who are more on the lower side of the earning families, they're hardly hit. I would recommend the government to improve the situation, and some steps could be taken, like increasing the rate of vaccinations among the elderly, as well as fast-tracking the development of vaccine for the under 12 age group. Government can also help by giving a boost to small businesses by taking various measures like reducing their loan interest rates or reducing their tax rates. It can also provide certain subsidies to various industries so that they can increase their sales. Apart from that, government can work on creating more jobs by negotiating with other countries or looking at how other countries cope with it, like USA and the developing nations like India and China. I hope this video and presentation would help government in taking a decision, and very positive and hopeful that we will be able to battle the pandemic and would come out of the new normalized world to our original and more happy, stable world. Thanks a lot for watching and have a great day.